Hello, everybody. It's September 8th of 2025, and I'm going to be reading journals for September 1 through 5, 2024. So I'm exactly a year after the fact. Now I realize I believe that am missing a session. There was a few times that the recording didn't work or go or it got lost or something. So couple of these days of journals are not, you won't see a session associated with it. So, um, I thought I would read them out here and give you whatever thoughts I might have that go with them. So, I'm always in a debate. I want you to read the journal with me or just read it. You can hear me read it. I think I'll just read it. So this is September 1st of 2024. The part is winning. Actually, let me share screen so that I can show you the PowerPoint of those guys. So you can have an idea of my parts want to say hello. Forward only. Okay, there we go. Shiloh. Sorry, there's a lot of Winnie entries here. There she is. This is the part that was programmed to be a dog and was locked in cages, etc. So I'll read the journal, I guess, where you can watch. Well, I can't do that either. I guess I'll have to split screen here. And I guess I'll show you this. This is how I file my journals so that I can find them. Oh, dang, not at all what I wanted to do. Anyway, I'll have the date here. I don't like this view at all. I like this view. The date, and then whatever part is in the journal, I put it on there in case I need to find it later. I don't need the preview. I can search for it and it'll take me to whatever many, we'll put in dream here. So I know if I want to find the entries for dream, I've got all these. So that's why I like to take the time and I've got the date of the entry and the name. That might help some of you. I didn't do it at first, but I do it now. So let's try this again. I need to shrink that. Okay, here is, I'm gonna move this. Okay, here is Winnie. Her part name that presented was Wolf. I'm 7 to 10 years old. It's 1972 to 75. We're at the School Sisters of Notre Dame training camp. And it says train with wolves slash dogs and be hunted by and hunt humans. So here is the entry. Winnie is showing me that when she and Katie tried to cross the fence and escape, they used some sort of sound weapon. I guess let me back up. I don't know if I said this before. Oh, yes, that I lost the journal entry, so you didn't. Okay. You won't hear me and John talk about this. So Winnie is showing me that when she and Katie, who is another girl that was there, that the two of them really bonded a lot because they were both psychic and they could talk to each other in their heads. I guess telepathic would be the word. Winnie is showing me that when she and Katie tried to cross the fence and escape, they used some sort of sound weapon. Now, they being the guards and stuff. She and Katie had their ears covered and their mouths were open and they were yelling because it hurt so bad. There was no one around and no one touching them, but the sound in their ears, it made their entire head and neck scream with pain. For the past hour or so, my neck, lower back, of my head, and now my temples are starting to hurt. They're actually throbbing a little bit. You know, we got body memories going on there. Covering my ears and my mouth was open, and I was shouting to Katie, and she was shouting to me, but it was so loud we could not hear each other. We could not think to each other either. We both fell to the ground and passed out. There was vibration over our entire bodies, but mainly focused in the ears and the head throbbing. Now, you know that these sound weapons exist nowadays, and this is 1975, 50 years. So I guess what I want to point out here is what you might think is cutting edge technology and the fact that they're talking about on the media or in scientific magazines or whatever. What we get on the news and in magazines today that they call cutting edge is not. It's obsolete. Because these weapons were considered cutting edge, I think, about 10 years ago for the Afghanistan war. And they used these sound weapons for crowd control. But this was being used in 1975, so it existed then. When they found us, they grabbed us by the wrists and dragged us across the ground to their vehicles and then took us back to the camp. And they dragged us out of the vehicles by the wrist again, dragging us out into the yard. Then we were waking up. We were standing up now in front of Mary John. This is Sister Mary John, who was actually a man in drag. So our quiet name that we would call, we knew this was Mr. Mary John, even though he was pretending to be a nun. We were standing up now in front of Sister Mary John with her German Shepherd. She was looking at us, shaking her head. She said, "Do you really think I don't know what's going on here? I know everything. Now I want one of you to choose." We did not understand. We looked at each other confused. Sister Mary John said, "Which one of you is going to die because you cannot stay together?" That's when Katie spit on her. And that's when Sister Mary John shot her in the head. I started screaming and screaming. She slapped me and told me to shut up. And as I'm journaling this, I said, "I feel nauseous right now. My head hurts." I don't know if I have the backstory on here. I hope I do. If not, I'll go back and add in some details. I was hit in the back of the head with the butt of a rifle and passed out. I woke up in my cage. I was not allowed food or drink for a whole day. Dad was at the door asking what he was supposed to tell my mom. They wanted to keep me for longer. Sister Mary John told him to figure it out, but that she had to teach me that I couldn't do that ever again. Dad was annoyed and walked away. They starved me in that cage for 3 days. I drank my own urine. I sat there in only my underwear. They kept the dogs prowling around me. I actually managed to get one to come near me. I was able to pet it. It was the same one that let me go near its baby days prior. When they saw that, they took that dog away and put another mean one in there. I sat there desperate for my friend who would never come back. I cried. Inside, I was lost. I cried for God. It was summertime. There was no school. So this is Shiloh, another part. Shiloh is the part of me that is sick and would recover. Oops. Oh, Shiloh. And would recover after abuses. Here's her bio card. To be sick in pain and heal. So that was Shiloh's purpose, was to recover from whatever. Her name was Sick. And I was 3 weeks old, and she persisted throughout my life. And her new purpose, this is her, she's strong now. Her new purpose is recovery, health, and strength. So Shiloh, she finally let me out and handed me over to Dad. Oh, okay. So let me go back to Winnie here. Oh, dang it. There she is. Um, she finally let me out and handed me over to Dad. Dad took me home. I tried to eat, but it was very difficult. I just told Mom I had an upset stomach. I don't think she even noticed I was gone for 4 days. I felt very abandoned by her. Angie and Mary didn't even notice either. No one did. But every once in a while, Dad would look at me with a shit-eating grin on his face. So, Winnie, I became very depressed and despondent, and my head throbbed. And my head is mildly throbbing right now. I feel so, so, so sad, despair, all alone in despair. I did not believe in God. I did not believe in anything. So here's the backstory, I think. There was a girl in school who got Oh, no, this is something else entirely. There was a girl in school who got cancer and was at home sick and about to die. Mom thought that I should go and spend time with her. I could not. I would not. I did not want to watch somebody die. I did not want to watch another friend die. It would be much slower, so I never saw her again. Mom kept encouraging me to go spend time with her. I suppose as a way to say goodbye, but I did not. I disappeared into myself. Actually, I'll give you the backstory here. I'm not sure if it comes after this or before, if it's lost or what, but at this training camp, a new girl showed up, and we discovered that we could talk to each other in our heads. And we became friends, and we would swing on swings in our head and have fun. And we had a thing that we did with each other was we did the pinky swear with each other. Can't really do it here very well. Um, and we got really close. Well, at a certain point, we both saw a man in a cabin off in the distance, maybe 2 or 3 or 5 miles away from the camp. And we also saw a squirrel that was able to get over the fence. And we thought, well, if we could do that and escape, that we would. And so this was after our attempted escape. They used a sound weapon, knocked us out, dragged us back. They killed her. And I was devastated because I had no friends. I mean, I did at school, and that's what this sick girl with cancer was. I don't even remember her name. I've always remembered this moment of having a friend who got cancer and was at home, and Mom wanted me to go spend time with her. But I couldn't because I had just witnessed my best friend Katie be murdered. And so that's what I'm talking about. I said I did not want to watch another friend die. It would be much slower, so I never saw her again. Mom kept encouraging me to go spend time with her, I suppose as a way to say goodbye, but I did not. I disappeared into myself. I was incredibly depressed. And this is, I want to yell, I want to shout, I want to rip all of their eyes out, I want to tear their throats open like the wolves do. And I said to her, we can do all of that to Ted. She said, I hurt all over. I just hurt all over. And so my memories are jumping around here. I was in kindergarten when that girl got cancer. She died by the end of the school year. So when Winnie got her training, she was 5. So I guess this age here on my bio is wrong. So I need to make a note of that. Put Winnie. Because I was in kindergarten at 5 years old, and if I couldn't face this girl because Katie had been killed, oh wow, this is way wrong. And now this line means time went on this night. So Christine is my friend from junior high school, and Nicola is my front personality that went to high school. She was the new kid, and Nicola. Christine betrayed Nicola, and Sherry, another friend later in high school, betrayed Finley. So Nicola, Christine was Nicola's handler in junior high, and Sherry was Finley's handler in high school. She said it's better not having friends. Winnie says she doesn't mind helping people out, but she's not going to have friends. Winnie is the one who wipes her face and scratches like a dog does. She's the one that takes Dixie for a walk. She's the one that plays with Dixie. She is happy with the animals because the humans are beasts. Again, time goes on, and separate memories. Avery's. Now, Avers is my maiden name, my last name. Avery's was a code word to activate a courier. Says, now I see a young man with no shirt on and playing with a knife. He's flipping it frontwards and backwards in his hand with ease. He's watching the others train, waiting for his turn. He has a very dark suntan. He's chewing gum and he spits it out when it's his turn. He goes out very quickly, dispatching his opponent. When he's done, he comes back to where he was. I was watching him. He came back with blood on his arm. When he noticed that he wiped it off, he said, "That's how you do it, kid." And then he walked off. I did not want to do that kind of fighting. That kind of thing was for boys, and I'm a girl. Yeah, this is the courier. Money and drugs were moved through School Sisters of Notre Dame. I can see a man open up a door, and inside are various sized bags and backpacks, all hanging on hooks from the ceiling. You have to identify the one that you want for him to give to you. I handed him a piece of paper with a code on it. He found the backpack with that label and handed it to me. It's the same guy who was flipping the knife around. He's very short and muscly and about 16 to 20 years old. He takes care of the supply room. So now Avery's and Judy. Judy is a part that was put on boats. I took the backpack on one of my trips to one of the big houses on the lake. That was one of the times that the boat captain left me alone. If I had a backpack or a bag, he did not come near me, so I was happy to have a backpack or a bag. Now, if I did not, that means I was being trafficked for sex and rituals. If I had a backpack on, that meant I was a courier and don't screw with me because I had adrenochrome in the backpack. Since I also took a bag to Chicago once. I'll show you Avery's. Here she is. So I'm 7 to 35 years old. My whole life I was accessed as a courier, adrenochrome, body parts, drugs, money, papers, and codes. And there she is with her backpack. And now, as an adult, she likes to hike with her backpack. Since now I just saw a round, pudgy bodyguard sitting in a chair. Oh, geez, I'm doing this way out of order. I'll find Juliet. There she is. Juliet's my smoker. Now I just saw a round, pudgy bodyguard sitting in a chair. He's crabby and telling me to give him the bag. So this is one part moving into another. Avery's the courier into another part. I believe he's a mobster in Chicago. He taps his chest and tells me to come give him some sugar. I go and sit on his lap and he put the bag beside him. Now this is this part. Juliet says he rapes me. When he's done, Finn, my other part, who handles a knife, and actually I'm realizing this is wrong. It's a whole set of parts that does performances, but Finn did killing on stage for Satanists. When he's done, Finn has to go do a show. I believe he's the one that ran the theater in Chicago, this fat, round, pudgy man. Correction, the bodyguard to the man who ran the theater in Chicago, but he's the one I always give the bag to. After that, I go to the dressing room and get ready for the show. These people are so despicable. So I'm running drugs, getting raped, and performing on stage murdering people. Like one of those things is not enough, but three of them. Dad was not there when I went to the mansions in Milwaukee. Dad did not come with me when I went to Chicago. Dad did not come with me when I went to Canada. Dad did not come with me when I went to Camp David. Jack was with me most of the time, but sometimes there was another person. And I didn't know this, so this is me realizing who I have another handler. So Avery's jumps in and says, "My goodness, the name John Emanuele popped into my head. His nickname was the Demon," was his nickname. That is my friend Joe's father. I'm getting the creepiest vibe now. He was a sexual man, just like his son, my friend, the friend who does not believe that mobsters are pedophiles. I was always under the impression that Dad did not like him and that he did not like Dad. We were neighbors. We lived across the street from each other on opposite ends of the block. We weren't at the ends, but we were both like three or four houses from the end opposite. And yeah, I was always under the impression, okay, they did not socialize together. John Emanuele was my handler when Jack was not around that Dad had no idea of because the demon, my handler's nickname, would meet me at a place where Dad was not. There was a driver that took me to and from mansions and picked me up, then back to Dad. John Emanuele was the person that moved me from Milwaukee to Chicago. Afterward, Dad would get me at the School Sisters of Notre Dame. They were compartmentalized from each other. So we're neighbors across the street from each other, playing with each other. Dad has Joe, my friend. I think I'm 5 and Joe's 2 or 3 years older than me. Has him come over, have us do, I don't want to call it sex or kiddie porn, but Dad is filming us having sex so Dad can create a portfolio for the mob, I think, or for Jack, my handler in the CIA. So Dad, Joe's dad is John, the demon. They are not allowed to interact with each other, and I don't know if they're pretending to not like each other or if they actually didn't like each other, but so I've got my dad and then I've got John, who is the demon. I remember interacting with him a few times later in life, and he called me something. I can't remember what that was. So, bam, phew, like a minute or two later, he called me Avery's, just like Top did. Now, Top was my first sergeant when I was in the military in Germany. He called me Avery's as well. And I never put that together until this day. I corrected him just like I did Top. I would say, you know, it's Avers. If they did not say the correct response, I did not switch. If they did, I switched. I was a mule in Germany too. I'm realizing this. Oh my gosh. They didn't leave me alone the first months I was there. I was moving drugs or money. And Avery's is the part name. And on this day, I'm just like, oh my God. As a child, I always had an escort, a bodyguard. Have the child carry the drugs and the money. No one would suspect a child with a backpack. In Germany, I'm like 20. I moved papers back and forth. That's why Top always left me alone. He never said anything about my boyfriend sneaking in and out of my window for months. I always wondered how they didn't know, but they must have, and I was hands off. Because my barracks room was on the first floor. So my boyfriend would jump in and out the window. He must have stayed with me 5 days a week for months on end. And I'm like, I look back on that now and go, how could they have not known? Well, they did, but I was hands off. That was like it wasn't my perk. It was a perk because he was my boyfriend, but he was also another handler. Top would give me papers that I would bring to my room, and then my boyfriend would spend the night with me, and then he would take the papers out. All big setups all the time. I said, holy crap, I think Dave was in on it. Dave was my boyfriend. And in this day, I'm realizing this. Why else allow him to sneak in and out of my room? Top would hand off a package slash envelope to me when I was in his office, and Dave would pick it up from my room. Put me in the middle to avoid detection. Yet another handler, not a boyfriend. I'm so glad I threw that ring away. Now, when I was in Germany, Dave proposed to me. So he got me this little ring with three little diamonds. You know, it might be worth maybe $400 in today's money. But back then it was like a big deal. Probably not. Dave made it out like it was. And anyway, I kept on, held on to that ring all these years. Well, it's diamonds. You don't want to get rid of it. Hung on to it all these years until last year. And I said, I'm so glad I threw that ring away. And I think by throwing that ring away, and I'm not even sure what led me to it, I think I just happened to be in my jewelry box, saw it, and went, why am I hanging on to this? You know, anyhow. So I think by throwing it away, it cut ties and it allowed me to start having these memories. In Germany, I was a part of a group of friends. We called ourselves the Trash Cans. There came a point ultimately where the leader girl, her name was Karen, same name as my mother, where the Karen, the leader girl, I'm going to put her name in here. And she was a biatch too. Ostracized me as well, just like in Iowa. My friends ostracized me, except this time it didn't bother me so much because I already knew how to handle it. Because as a teenager in Iowa, my handler got everyone to ostracize me, to funnel me into the army. So now I'm in the army, in this group, and I'm being ostracized by these people too, to funnel me a different direction. Terry Geller was one girl in the group. We worked together in the mess hall. John was another member. He was on the same base as us. There were about six of us. We would all go out partying. I can't remember what it was that made her ostracize me. And I do now. It's because we were in the bar and I happened to sit on John's lap, one of the dudes. And I wasn't necessarily flirting with him, but we were all friends. We were at the bar, we're drinking, and I sat on his lap. And she wanted him, and she got pissed off and jealous because I sat on what she considered her property. Anyway, I believe that we were couriers, and I was just being moved from one handler to another, and being ostracized was the way of doing that. Dave came after that, then Top and the rapes, and then SRA, then to El Paso. So I'm starting to put together my life in Germany. You know, I remembered little things, but not all this. I said, I just remembered. I was ostracized over a guy again. It was a ridiculous thing. At the bar, I went and sat on the lap of one of the trash can guys, John. We were drinking and just goofing around. I kissed his cheek in friendship. She got pissed off and ostracized me. They all did. I even remember she had t-shirts made up for us that said trash cans on them with numbers. We wore them for her meetings. I thought it was stupid. I remember asking her why she chose that name for the group. The group had been around before me and her. She made up some BS story. It didn't make sense. I think that we moved things in and out of trash cans. We moved things as a gang. Her name was Karen. Funny, the same name as my mother. I always thought it was odd that a woman would be the leader when there were three guys. There were three guys and three girls. Karen wanted John, but they were not together. So when she saw me sitting on his lap and kiss his cheek, she used that as an excuse of jealousy to kick me out of the group. I remember after that, I remember after that didn't know what to do because Terry and I worked together in the mess hall. Terry was another trash can. I was trying to be her friend still, but she was forbidden to be mine. After a couple of weeks, I just thought, F it and gave up. And it was Dave who approached me at the bar, my boyfriend. I was trying to figure out, did I see him? Did he see me? How'd that work out? Because after the trash can business, now I got this boyfriend who's another handler. He seduced me. He was a very handsome man. I remember thinking, I can't believe that he wants me. Now I understand. And I'm going to show you a picture of him. I still think he's very handsome. Let me see. Not that I want to, but I mean, look at him. How could you not, get into that? You know, his name is David Allen Montgomery, and this is like 1983. Um, Now time goes on, and Julia says, it's funny, it's about 2 a.m. I did not have a cigarette for about 3 hours, and I had all those memories. So now I'm having a cigarette, and suddenly I can hear all the tones around me. I don't recall hearing them when I was not smoking, but now I hear them clear as day. I remember about 10 years ago, I was taking a bath. I don't remember what got me thinking about this, but I thought, why don't I hear the tones? I should hear the tones. I was underwater while I was thinking that. When I came out of the water, suddenly I heard the tones, and I've heard them ever since. I can feel them too at the time I was smoking. I remember sending an email to Alan telling him about it. Now, I'm just going to interject here. I have denounced Alan Watt and Melissa Reed, but at the time I hadn't. I remember sending an email to Alan telling him about it. He never really said anything or responded, but I do recall one day it was about 3 or 4 in the afternoon and hearing the tone shift and feeling like my body literally went from third gear down into first. It was very distinct. From then on, I've always tried to be aware of it. I'm always asking Chris if he hears that tone. Generally, he does not. And when I remembered the mind files, I could hear it and feel it really loudly. And there was one other time after that, and now I think about it, I heard it again this morning. And now, now I suddenly feel very hot. And I said, Alan smoked too. He used to talk about how he thought that the tar in the cigarettes in the lungs somehow blocked the toxins from chemtrails from entering the body through the digestive tract. They got trapped in the tar and was expelled through the phlegm it produced and gets coughed out. And so now another memory. Um, Avery's again. Actually, I'll show you because this is actually another part. I thought it was, oh, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Your name? First Sergeant? Uh, no, I need to find Pumas. There we go. So this is Avers, just the normal party girl, army girl. Or no, this is the soldier in Germany doing my work. This is the party girl in Germany doing doing her thing. This is the trash can club. Let me do that. There was a group of us and we partied, just like friends on TV, except we were couriers and we moved things in and out of trash cans. Now here is, yeah, this is actually doing pick up and drop off messages in public trash cans in town. Isn't that exciting? We did a pick up and drop off I think it was a train station. I called it the turnstile transfer. I think it was practice to do it out in the open. We pick up and drop off messages in public trash cans in office building. Person watching following me smashed my thumb in the door jamb, told me to pass a threat along to my handler. That's right. Here is Top. Her name is Tony. Even though it's a male name, she's a female, but this is my first sergeant. So here we go. Top would call me into his, and this is not the actual first, this is just a random picture off Google. And we would talk for a while. and he would rate me. Then he would give me an envelope. I would put it in my cargo pants pocket. And right now, my part is telling me I got money in there for me. Wow. Okay. So, his little tip, I suppose, is tip. Um, I got, or wait, put it in my cargo pants pocket, go to my room and put it in the corner behind the locker. And I need to actually add this in here because I don't want to forget it. I have it under Avery's, but it needs to go under here. And see, this is what you happens when you reread. So I'm going to put today's date, but reading journals. Okay. Sorry, you guys had to watch me do this. And my parts, I got to keep track of the pages. Okay, save that. Um, I would put it in my cargo pants pocket. I got money in there for me, his tip. I'd go to my room and put it in the corner behind the locker. One time I opened it up and looked at it. It was just a bunch of code and I had no idea what it was. I put it back in there. I never really looked again because I didn't understand it. Dave sneaked in and out of my window by that locker. I saw he reached down for something once and he said that he dropped something and tucked it in his pocket and he was out of the window in a flash. He said, "See you next time," which is what I say at the end of my videos. Anyway, after he proposed to me, he talked about me going to Colorado, where he was about to be stationed and also where he lived. It was Denver. I remember feeling very uncomfortable about it and not committing. There was a part of me relieved when I caught him cheating. I have a picture of him in my photo album right now, and I just showed y'all that. The girl that was my roommate and stayed with her boyfriend off base were both also part of this club. Of course, they would place me in a room with my handler. She was the first briefest one, then Karen, then Dave, then Tops. I'm starting to figure out my handlers all along the way. So more time goes by. When I said my prayers tonight, I asked God to help me quit smoking tomorrow. I know this sounds crazy, but he told me it's not time yet. I put up a bit of a fuss, but he says it's not time yet. Is that a part that's just messing with me, or is it actually God? It's 2:30 a.m. and I've got a terrible headache. I finally took some Advil. I think I've had enough memories for tonight. I'm hot and then I'm cold. I'm hot and then I'm cold. That's what Winnie went through, the wolf part. It was hot during the day and cold at night on naked skin, just underwear, no heater and no air conditioner. I was in a prefabricated building that was metal, kind of like a hangar. That's where they kept the cages. During the day, there were other children with me. At night, I was alone with the dogs. Now Shiloh's popping in. My glands are starting to flare up right now. Shiloh's the sick part. By the time I got back home with Mom, I was sick. That's why I could tell her I had an upset stomach. I believe I got to stay home from school for a couple of days again. Back to Winnie. When I was in the cage at night, the guard would walk by about once per hour. I could see his flashlight passing by the doorway. Sometimes he would come in and flash it in my face. And now this recall, I should have wrote down here, but I remember very vividly. I was drifting off to sleep, and all of a sudden, flashlight light in my eyes, and I woke up and I said, "What the heck is that?" And Winnie told me. Back to Shiloh. I had my first food in 3 days when I got home. I threw it up. Mom checked my temperature and my glands. She said that I was sick and put me in bed. I think she brought me broth and then some crackers. I did not eat very much for a couple of days, but I drank a lot of water and milk. She gave me crushed up aspirin mixed in with a teaspoon of sugar. which is something that's sung about in the movie The Sound of or the sound, is that right? The Sound of Music? Yeah, I think so. With Julie Andrews. Some of the song about a little bit of sugar with the medicine goes down, blah blah blah. And so that popped into my head. I remember being at the store yesterday. It was 2 p.m. and I had not had lunch yet. As I was standing there waiting for my sandwich, I could feel my glands flaring. Now I get it. And Winnie is saying, I just saw someone dumping food into dog bowls. There were maggots on some old meat. I think that's what I was given to eat. I don't think I ate it though. I think I sat there until the dogs ate it. The guard asked me if I was on a hunger strike or what. I said I did not know what that meant. He kind of chuckled and walked away. So that's that entry. 9-2. So Avery's, we'll get her back up here so y'all can see her. Her name is Veronica. Now, if you wonder how I come up with these names, the part generally likes to use their original name and scramble the letters and come up with something new. So the A and the V and the I and the E are in there. Let me do this. Avery's, I can see myself reaching in a trash can along the side edge. The front side's having grading and the back side is flat. It's along the back side between the bag and the metal can. I can slide it out of the can and put it up the sleeve of my jacket and walk off. John is with me, the boy that I kissed his cheek and sat on his lap. We walk back to the barracks. John goes to his barracks and I go to mine. I stopped off at the supply room and lean my arm that has the envelope down. I'm just chit-chatting with the supply clerk. He reaches into my sleeve and pulls it out and tucks it into a space underneath the countertop. He says that I'm tired and I'm going to go to bed now. Or I say that I'm tired and I'm going to go to bed now. He says, good night. See you next time. I turn and go back to my room and go to sleep. Sometimes it was the reverse. The supply clerk would slide something up my sleeve. I would go to my room and drop it in the space between the wall and the locker by the window. Then Dave, my boyfriend, would move it out of the building. Sometimes he would bring something in and I would take it to the supply clerk. Avery thought it was all very exciting spy stuff, just like in the movies. She liked the excitement, but she did not like the trash can work. The stuff in the barracks was easy, but walking around town, reaching in and out of trash cans, made her very nervous. She always felt better when she had another one from the group with her, but that wasn't always the case. One time, a strange man saw her in a trash can. He asked her what she was doing. She said that she had thrown something away accidentally and was trying to get it back. He started helping her fish around in there. Finally, I made up some BS about needing to get back and that it wasn't that important after all. I walked 2 or 3 blocks to make sure that he was nowhere around and then doubled back to get the message. Then I hightailed it back to the barracks. I was paranoid and kept looking over my shoulder the whole way. I was relieved when I finally got back to the barracks. I told the supply clerk what happened and what I did. He nodded and said he would be sure to let the right people know. Then I went to my room and went to sleep because that man was trying to get that message, and I'm kind of blown away that I walk away and he still can't find it. And he walks off, and then I'm able to go back. So I don't know if my memory's messed up or if that's what happened. So I'm starting to sort out these different parts now. A verse, which I now call Avi, is the soldier doing her job in the kitchen or qualifying at the shooting range, etc. A vries is the courier. Gemma is the promiscuous party girl. Tony is the sex slave for Top. Candy is the sex slave for the officers' club. And Barry, Janina, and Billy are the parts at Himmler's castle. Because I got all these different things and I'm like, okay, starting to sort them out. I suddenly had a thought pop into my head. That's what happened at the concentration camp. Now, I was a cook, and my sergeant in the kitchen said, "Oh, we're gonna go to Dachau, and you should come with us." And I was like, "I don't want to go to a concentration camp." "Oh no, it's historical. It'll be good." And so he was my handler in the kitchen and talked me into going to Dachau, the concentration camp. That's what happened at the concentration camp. I was a courier moving something in there and out of there. Excuse me. My boss in the kitchen was my guard or backup, so to speak. It seems as though they wanted me to be the fall guy if anything ever became discovered, because my boss or any of those officers could have done it just as easily as I could have, but for some reason they needed me to do it, to save their own asses, I'm sure, and I was just oblivious. I just keep wondering what all that coding and communication was all about. Carrie Elahe talks about the New World programs and plans for her. I wonder if this was about the New World Order stuff. The infiltration in the military communicating, because perhaps at that time it wasn't as pervasive as it is now. Perhaps what I was moving around allowed things to get to the stage that it is now. And actually, so yeah, this is Avery's was created when I was 7, but it was kept activated until I was 35 years old. I moved something in and out of Berlin as well. And we're talking East Berlin. It was sewn into the lining of my jacket. No. Oh, it says, no wonder I was nervous as hell going through the border. This was just a small piece of paper, about 2 by 4 inches folded. Same thing on the way out. That's why I did not allow me or Leanne to get sucked into going into that basement to party. Now, Leanne was my roommate and another handler. And we took a trip to Berlin, and to get to Berlin, you have to go through East Germany, communist territory. It's not now, but it was then. I had a higher priority mission to accomplish and could not get sidelined or traumatized while I was there. I don't know how I know that. I'm sure there was SRA going on. It was creepy there. I keep wondering if there wasn't some sort of programming when I first got to Germany in order for me to switch into that personality from childhood so easily. But they obviously had my part name and used it. Perhaps that's all it took. That's probably what Top was sussing out when we had our little talks in his office before he raped me, of course. As I'm thinking about this, all of this occurred before that first rape with him. Um, and it says, "Oh my goodness, I'm just remembering that concentration camp, Dachau. There was a lot of information I was taking out of there. My boss was helping me tuck it into the lining of my jacket. We were in some strange little shack interacting with a nervous little man who's giving us the papers. It was several pages, all in different parts of my jacket. And I said, so ridiculous. Why not just put it in one envelope? What was so darn secret? I was just going to say, why me? But I understand it's because I was already programmed and they knew it. They had my code words and everything." So, next day, hmm, I forgot all about this. I woke up. It says, "The rooster crows at midnight, the crow at dawn." And then there were letters and numbers. That was on the one message I looked at. So back to this was when I was in my room with my boyfriend after Top gave me something. So at Dachau, my jacket got ripped. My sergeant had us go to a store of sorts. Inside, he gave me his coat and took mine to get repaired. He said he would catch up with us. He didn't want me as a soldier to look bad. It was an image thing. Thus the repair. He came back about 20 minutes later with my coat fixed. I wore that to work too. He probably took it out then. We were waiting to see something, and there was a scuffle of sorts. A man brushed by me, and my coat was ripped on the left side, right at the seam. My sergeant was very upset about it. A coworker there came to apologize, and how could he fix it? How could he make it right? Fix the coat, he said. I said it was okay, but again, an image thing. Plus, for good relations, didn't want the army as a whole to have a bad report of the visit. Here, take my coat and I'll go get yours repaired while you go on the tour. I've already seen it, he says. So we switched coats and he went off with mine. It, and I said, it was crinkly after that, but what was I going to do? It was in the upper and lower back area of the coat above the hips and below the shoulders, around the waist cinch. Very stiff. I never really thought much about it after that. It is what it is, my boss said to me. He would steam it when back at the kitchen. At work, he said he worked it out while I was on shift, and I thanked him. That was that. I was distracted with the tour and the creepy, eerie vibe that was there. You can feel it all over. This is where hundreds of thousands of people were killed, and I'm standing on this land, and they're having, anyway. I do see myself ironing out papers in my room. They were crumpled up, I suppose to not make noise. I gave my boss the papers the next day, 4 a.m. shift. Perhaps there was more in the coat because he wanted to steam it at work. Now, this is where I'm starting to connect with other points in time where I was a courier. So at TCBY, it's the country's best yogurt down in Texas. Some customers called me Avery's and dropped off and picked up papers from time to time. I remember working at Snyder Park, Texas, location, and that place was haunted and creepy. I would hand it to them between their napkin and yogurt as I handed them their yogurt. They would slide it to me under their cash when they paid. Blockbuster Video too with the papers. Near closing time, always, someone would want a membership and hand me some papers under their membership form, or I would hand them papers saying they forgot to fill something in. One time I asked a man, didn't I do his membership just the other day? He said, "You're mistaken. I've got one of those faces." So I'm starting to get a clue, and he's like, "Oh, no, I've just got one of those faces." And so I proceeded. And at Best Buy as well, a customer would ask if I had a trash. I'd think it was trash and put it in my pocket to toss later, but it stayed in my pocket and it was passed on by me later. Or it would be in a box for me, or the box for the person, thus the part name. So my jobs, I realized um, here, I had parts that I didn't think had any traumas, and I guess they're not traumas, but each job I had a part, and her name was Box because I was the inventory manager, and I was always counting everything and boxes and unloading and all that. But it was the front personality, Best Buy supervisor, manager, middleman for the cult. So this is Brooke. This is Box. Um, or it would be in a box for me, or me or the person. Thus the part name, Box, and Brooke is her new name. I was so conditioned by then about the wrong name being said that I didn't even correct anyone anymore. Avery's was happy to do that and not the SRA like when a child. She could handle this just fine. Hands off, and she was good. So she made a decision that, you know what? If I have to do shit for the cult, yeah, I'll be a courier. I'll do this shit as long as you leave me out of that sexual crap and the rituals. So that's right. So Raphael, he is my roommate in Dallas while I worked at Blockbuster Video. Raphael came into my life to corrupt me into homosexuality. It did not take, thank goodness. He approached me at Blockbuster. We became good friends. We were roommates for 3 years. Now, I realized later on that I believe these handlers are given dossiers of our personality types, and they pick the right handler to 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 be the pick the right personality to match or go along with your personality so that you will become friends. And then they handle you while they're being your friend. We were roommates for 3 years. He taught me a lot about it because he was a homosexual. I had I had some women at work hit on me, but I stayed away from it. Rafe, his nickname, took me to his gay bars once. I just observed. Women hit on me there. I remembered my dad and the abuse while living with him. He admitted being moved. He admitted being moved from one man's. Oh, Raphael. Oh, I remembered my abuse while I was living with Raphael was my roommate at the time. So I'm confiding in my roommate and friend. Oh my God, I'm remembering my dad sexually abused me. And Raphael, admitted being moved from one man's lap to another as a child while they were playing cards. He was from Cuba, but he never admitted to abuses. He was from Cuba. This is the same time as the demonic face down when I meditated. So it's the same apartment. I decided to get into Buddhism and meditate and chant and wound up calling a demon to me. While I'm living with a gay man who's my handler and I'm doing, all this courier stuff. When I told him I was moving home to Wisconsin to try to heal things with my dad and family in the spring, he left in the fall and left me holding the bag and all the responsibility with our apartment. I was pissed at him about that. Just poof, gone. I was scrambling. I told him 9 months in advance. He told me with about 30 days notice. The apartment complex had a renter, so they let me out of the contract. I left in late fall. I really had to scramble with my job transfer too. And I took a pay cut in the deal, and I put handlers all over the place. So later on, you'll hear me talk about my roommate, and he took me to a gay pride in Dallas, and there's a whole thing that went on there, which is I'm starting to realize because I always remembered this incident. It was always conscious or just subconscious. If I took a minute and think about it, oh yeah, he really screwed me over. But I never could understand why he did that. Well, months later, I remember why. So that's September 2nd. So we'll save that. And September 3rd. I'm pretty sure. Oh, come on. Why are you not opening? Let me do that. Oops, darn it. It opens and then I closed it. Let me get rid of this stuff. Okay, the 3rd. Now, this I read in my sessions, so I won't go over this. This reminds me of sleeping. Okay. Oh, but I didn't finish it. That's right. So I'm telling John about this in the ship. For some reason, astral projection is going, okay. That reminds me of the time I was sleeping, I think, during the crystal dreams years, and someone woke me. I responded to what they needed and went right back into what I was doing in my sleep. I knew I had left my body and was working on something, astral projection, but I did not know it. I mean, obviously the part knew it, but I didn't. I always remembered this moment in time. How could I just wake up from a sleep, answer someone's questions, and drop back into sleep? That always perplexed me. I must have switched to wake up and then switched back to leave. Now, I didn't finish reading that in the session that you'll see that goes along with this. That's why I brought that up. And now here's the next day. Come on now. Okay. In the parts puddle tonight. Now that's just at the end of the night when I gather up all my parts and I see if anybody needs anything or if they need to be hugged and loved and cuddled or cry or whatever they want to tell me. In the parts puddle tonight, I had a bunch of people hugging me and I was hugging them. My heart was really open. I felt someone holding my hand again. I could not see who it was, but I did ask. It was about a minute later that I heard, I am the Wicked Witch of the West. And I put Wicked Witch of the West, WWW. Then I went, that's 666. I believe this part performed occult magic and astral projection. It also did just hit me that this is from The Wizard of Oz, and there is Wizard of Oz programming. I totally forgot about that. Wow. So this is from, I'm gonna make a note, 9/4/24 um journal. I'll put Wizard of Oz because I need to dig into that. I see myself above two women sitting on a beach with a table between them, and all of a sudden I'm very quickly moving towards the one on the right. It's shocking when I enter her. My body shuddered remembering it. And that's all there is to this journal. And you'll hear me talk to Jon about this in more detail. On September 5th, I don't know why this is taking so long to open. Excuse me, forgive me for smoking. September 5th, when I woke up this morning, I had an anxiety. Oh, I'm ashamed and embarrassed. Yeah, you'll hear me talk about this. Well, I'll just read it. When I woke up this morning, I had anxiety, couldn't really pinpoint who or where it was. Chris had a lot of anxiety too. After he went to work, I worked on Ted for a while, helped a little bit. It's now almost 11 p.m. and it just dawned on me what it is. It was the astral projection memory that I had. I literally threw a person out of their body. I felt the energetic and physical impact of it. It was so aggressive and intrusive and overpowering. I'm ashamed and embarrassed that I've done such a thing to someone's spiritual body. I don't know anything else about that part except those two very brief memories. I'm feeling a bit of relief simply saying it though. And then you'll hear me talk about this in this session. It says I've been feeling tired all day, although I got quite a bit done. By the time 6 o'clock rolled around, I could barely wash the few dishes, and I did not cook, so I'm sure that means there's more memories on the way. And then I just cried for a while. I think I went into the bathroom and cried. Oh, it says, now I remember what happened on that ship. I was in the physical body that was on that ship, but it was not my body. Once that person was on the ship, then I left it, which is why I was leaving and moving away. You'll hear me talk to Jon about this as well. Um, okay, yeah, I did not read this in the session. I don't know, I was skipping over stuff. So back to Avery's, the courier. I just saw the two men in the concentration camp, the two separate shops. One was short and thin, and one with a long, pointy nose, straight, receding gray hair. That's where I saw the papers being put into my jacket and sewn back up. The other man had a more round face and full head of curly gray hair and a thin beard, tall man. He was looking at me and scrutinizing me. I think that's why he had me leave the shop and worked with my sergeant. I keep thinking that something was in the piping of the jacket, some sort of powder or liquid or both. My drill sergeants in basic training were Sergeants Bush and Yelverton. I cannot remember the other sergeant's last names, the one that took me to this concentration camp. Oh, it was Sergeant Peel. Is that right? So I was trying to remember his name. Wow. Sergeant Peel? I believe so, yeah. And so more time goes by. Star accessed my firewalls. Then after that, she accessed my actual files. Lily was listing off all the skills that I had. Star and Lily were having a conversation about it. She was told how to program in the astral projection. She split them off of witchy, the three witches in one. She combined them. She tied them together to make a split. I keep thinking that there had to be a trauma to create a part. It was witchy that performed those actions. Witchy is a split off of Wizzy, who became an integration of all three witches in a new part. Star wanted the abilities of all three in one with astral projection. Now I'm seeing my fingertips and hand being put on a metal plate. I believe Star gave me a mild electrical current so that I would create a new part. I believe the commander part told her how to do it. She was able to access my commander part and then create a part called Witchy, which really was astral. She got through the firewalls, found out all the parts and their abilities, chose the witchcraft parts, found the commander who then told her what to do and how to do it. She wanted to blackmail people. I got her the information through astral projection. I would watch from above. One time I actually took over a body. That was the Balistreri woman because she was the most powerful woman in town. We put her on a ship to leave the country, and she had no idea until I left. When she figured out there was when she figured out where she was furious. And then I'm drifting off, and then I saw Avery's, the courier, as a little girl standing on the street with a man. He reaches down to tighten up on the backpack strap. I stepped away a little bit. I feel sick to my stomach right now. I have some adrenaline going through me. Now I just saw a very fat 16-year-old boy with a very round face with freckles all over and a red and white striped t-shirt tuck something in his back pocket. He's nodding. The shirt is how we knew our contact. So more time goes by. Not more time the night while I'm remembering. Now back to Star again. Star took pliers and smashed a fingernail. Then Astor projected into me, the fear of it coming back to me. And I said to tell John about the dream of levitation, and you'll hear that discussed during this session as well. So the journals I read at the beginning, I'll stop sharing, were from a session that I lost. The recording just got lost somewhere. I think I may have even forgotten to hit the record button or whatever. So those are the journals, and you saw the parts. But so you'll see how you're gonna skip around in time. I was going from a 5-year-old to a 20-year-old with this courier stuff. And I had conscious memories starting to make sense in connection with suppressed memories, and because I was reading a prayer, asking God for forgiveness for astral projection, now all of a sudden I have astral projection parts coming up telling me stuff that happened at the crystal store. And later on, I remember more astral projection that happened in Germany that not the army per se had me do, but the people I met in the SRA rituals in Germany, they utilized me for astral projection jobs, so if you want to call them that. So it's all very crazy, and that's why I put them in the PowerPoint and the charts and graphs so I can get the timeline right and the sequence of events. And when I put the journals in the PowerPoint, I put them in the chronological order that the memory came. But at some point, I'd like to go through there and read the whole thing and put it in chronological order of how it occurred, if that makes sense. So anyhow, I just want to say God bless you all. Um, God give you comfort, strength, buffer your memories as you're remembering them so you're not traumatized again, to compel you to do TED work, to vent whatever you're going to vent on, a punching bag, your bed, or whatever, to spend time every day working on your parts. I would say a minimum 1 or 2 hours. And on the weekend, I mean, anyway, to compel you to do your parts work and TED work and to just bless you, bless all of us that have gone through such horrendous, horrific things. And thank you, Lord Jesus, for saving us. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for having us survive and making it through and getting to the point where we are remembering and we can get to know those parts and realize just how many skills, abilities, and talents we have. And to be able to make it over the hurdle of guilt and shame and self-judgment and to embrace you, Father, and know that you forgive us, that we were ignorant, we were forced to do those things, became amnesic, and that you forgive us and that we can confess to you and repent and become your child and find that peace and happiness, the peace that goes with knowing the truth, your truth, our truth, the world, the truth of the world. So, in Jesus' name, amen. So, thank you, everyone. I appreciate the time and attention that you give to this. I hope it helps. If any of you need assistance or have questions, just contact me through my email. It's warlyn@yahoo.com, WARLYN @yahoo.com. That's my public email. As we get to know each other, I'll connect up with you with my personal email. Um, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to, you know, just whatever, answer questions. And I want to get to know more people. So I love you all. Take care and have a great day.